You want it to be more descriptive. Yeah, and that's why it's highlighted. I mean, built asset is really broad. So you're saying maybe we need to still be broad but more specific with some actual types. I mean, that's a good question. I mean, I think, you know, airports are buildings, right? But they're not under the building room technically. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he said more descriptive. That's me. What are you doing?
I'm listening.
He's a Dutch time traveler. Okay. All right. So we want to expand on this a little bit, and I don't know if the airport room is going to take issue with the fact that we would put airports in there. But what was the language that you used again? Buildings across all industry sectors. Well, I think that works across all industry sectors because it includes things like, you know, labs and healthcare and education and higher ed and hospitals. You know, so I mean, I think we all know what buildings refer to in the sense of the building room, like we across. All right. You're saying don't specify, or should we make that statement and then put a semicolon there and then give a bunch of types like healthcare, justice, higher education, you know, I mean, as examples. You want to put airports in there, go for it, but I'm telling them you said it. Terminals, okay. Head houses, things like that. Yeah, okay. So buildings across all industry sectors, including but not limited to. I don't know if I'd put that's pretty wordy, but you know, healthcare, science and technology, transportation. You say no to specification. Okay. All across all industry sectors is what he said in the back. I mean, if we start to get specific, people are going to say we left something out, right? And then if we're too specific, or if we try to include it all, then it just gets really long. So, I think, no, yeah, I think the statement that he made back there across all industry sectors is really good, and we can bring up examples of other building type in other parts of the document if needed, if it's relevant. Okay. Yeah, built asset industry we changed to buildings across all industry sectors. Lovely. So the next part, do we feel like we're done there? Does anybody have any strong feelings? Well, it's interesting that you say that because it's really the next thing that we're going to talk about, which is the specificity with which the building room is tasked with things. And one of the comments we had in there is life cycle. So the next sentence there is specifically the building room is tasked with, and then we have a fill in the blank, and we have a bunch of comments from our steering committee, and one of them is life cycle. We also have digital built environment, a scope list to include references to life cycle, Or maybe we leave life cycle up in there because we do have life cycle kind of in that paragraph that we just were editing. So I guess the question is, does life cycle belong up there or down below? Oh yeah, it's right on the left side, second sentence line from the, there you go. No, FM is done through here. No. Yeah. Yeah. As a matter of fact, the second session, the building room second session is FM handover life cycle stuff tomorrow at 11. So yeah, I think life cycle belongs in there somewhere, but you know, I think it works pretty good where it is. So if it's buildings across all industry sectors throughout their life cycle, maybe something like that. Yeah. Because the next sentence really asks for something with more specificity, like the building room is tasked with. And I don't know that the comments that we have are necessarily reflective of what we're tasked with doing in the building room, because we have digital built environment, life cycle. To me, I think the closest thing to being specific is the scope list, which, you know, breaks down parts of the life cycle. So, and there's another comment there that says, this is the scope list. Let's review and update it, right? What's missing, what needs expanding. And then these are the bulleted points here. And this is probably hard to read, but I don't want to just read to you, but these are the specific building room tasks, right? Creating open digital standards and solutions that the built asset economy needs by combining, enhancing, and developing intelligent data. And do we take out intelligent again? Right? Well, let's change that to relevant data at a minimum. I don't want to get ahead of you, John. Okay, you're going good. Engaging with the industry. Oh, sorry. Oh, good idea.
So does the scope specifically just include updating IFC, or also potentially proposing whole new standards? Because we could technically, the scope potentially is like proposing updates to the IFC standard instead of creating open digital standards, right? Because we do exist in the context of
yes. Yeah, and I would say yes, you're absolutely right, because you know, if someone comes to us with a project that requires an extension of the IFC, then obviously that's of the schema, then that's part of what we're doing in the room. That's part of what all the rooms, I would guess, would say in their statement. So yeah, an extension of the IFC schema where required by projects or something along the lines of that would be part of the specific building room tasks, you know, bringing that to the executive steering committee. What do you think? Yeah, you're disagreeing with me. You just okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's a pretty broad thing. I mean, that's probably part of every room, but that's really like the buildingSMART goal in general, right? Open standards and all that goes with it. Okay, so we removed intelligent, we made it relevant. Let's go down this list, and we might want to add in. Oh, go ahead.
Is there something like a digital? Is there something like a digital standard, or is it a standard for digitalization? But that's a little bit semantic, maybe. But
I don't think it's. I mean, a standard is a standard. I don't know that.
So,
do we just replace open digital standards with specifically IFC?
no, no.
General standards, or is it the scope is making building specific improvements to IFC?
Not only IFC.
Yeah, I mean, it might
There are more, and now we have the IDS, and so yeah.
So it is sort of an umbrella, but I I understand your point, and I still think that there's room in that, or maybe it's an additional statement about expanding those open standards, or maybe that's what we say,
Or implementing, or
creating and expanding open digital standards, such as standards and solutions. I mean, again, we get into the thing about, do we want to be really specific and list all the different open standards that we have, or just leave it as open standards?
Or do we say, say the buildingSMART open BIM standards? Like we limit our scope to improving buildingSMART standards.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay.
I don't know that we do limit it to buildingSMART standards, because actually, a lot of standards are actually ultimately including IC by ISO.
Yeah.
And ETIN, there's lots of different standards bodies that we would like to be using IFC as part of their exchange, and some do, some don't, and the more that do in the future, the better. So I think we're after open BIM is the sort of the helicopter term, isn't it? That we come up with.
Yeah. So maybe then creating and enhancing. Yeah. Or creating and expanding.
Or isn't it that you are not going to do another standard that is not in another room? Like you are not having BCF, IFC, whatever standard only for buildings. So I think if you're in the context of BSI, right? And BSI selected or decided standards, whether they come from SEM or go to SEM, you are in BSI scope, right? You don't want to be beyond the BSI scope, I guess. Well, no.
Yeah.
Correct.
Maybe.
But it's not a buildingSMART standard. That's what you mean.
Well, it's everything you do here in this room scope is within BSI scope. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
No, that is.
The way it's worded, it sounds like this room might develop another standard that no one else in BSI has any more on. Just that's kind of how it's worded right now.
Okay. So creating and enhancing BSI open digital standards. How about that? Because that way,
Whether it's BSI or BSI driven or BSI led.
yeah.
To clarify, like they become ISO standards, but IFC is still born from BSI.
Right. So,
Yeah, are we on point 2 on the list?
no, we're still on one. We're gonna.
We have an hour, right?
We have an hour and a half.
From now on, an hour.
This is good because this is the first time that we've had a session like this where we've actually gotten really good feedback. A lot of times it's just us talking. And if you want to play a good drinking game, you can try to figure out what the ISO standard is for the year of your birth. Mine's shipbuilding details, just so you know. Get a long ISO conversation last night. So let's change the first one to creating and did we decide on enhancing or? Oh, sorry. Creating and enhancing BSI. Oh, okay. Well, you're ahead of me. So now we can move on to 2, right? All right. What are we looking like online? Is anybody asking for us to be louder? Okay. All right. Okay. Well, that's good. That's good. Engaging with industry to identify problems or areas of improvement, as well as identify new challenges regarding the use of open BIM standards in the building sector. I think that one's pretty clean. I mean, that's, kind of a wordy way of what? Sectors. Building sectors. Okay, yeah, we'll add an S on there. Yeah, I mean, it's one of the things that we are tasked with doing. It's a little difficult to do because a lot of times we go out and look for, people in the building industry. We don't necessarily have a lot of building owners in buildingSMART, so we're trying to do kinds of surveys or talk to people on the FM side of things, like what are the pain points? What are the problems that you're finding that we can help solve, or that we can find and turn into a project to try to solve something. So I think Yeah. Oh, okay. That'd be great. Okay, cool. The third bullet, initiating new standard development projects, prioritizing those projects and supporting the ongoing development work. So that's kind of the meat and potatoes of any of the rooms, right? We're just trying to shepherd the projects through the BSI process as they come in. I don't know that we initiate, well, what's that say? Initiating new standard development projects. I don't understand that, I don't think. Because we don't initiate any of them. They come to us, but
It's under the umbrella.
Like, for example, I thought the airport room recently initiated a project to add some classifications for airports. Right? Is that a standard development project? Like that is a project? Like, would we say maybe there's some missing stuff for electrical system? So we're going to have a project to add some classifications and properties for electrical systems. I can see, is that what a standard development project could be?
it could be, but we've never done that. The fact that it's in here doesn't mean that we can't leave it in here, and that maybe we should do that, if the opportunity arises. So that's one of the things that we could do, but we've just never brought a project like that to the fore. And I think part of it is, if we bring that project up, then we need to find funding for that project. We need to find a project manager for that project. And these are the kind of walls that we're always up against in any room, in any project, in any room, is finding funding and people to run the project, right? So, and that funding's probably harder than finding someone to run the project. So to your point, yes, we could do that. I'm not sure what the mechanics of that would look like, because we don't have like a budget or anything ourselves as the building room. So we'd have to come up with an idea and then do the same kind of work that someone who brought us an idea would be, is to go out and find out if other people think it's, a worthwhile project. It would have to go through the BSI steering or the buildingSMART approval process. And then we'd need to find like funding for it, and we need to talk to vendors about implementing it.
It's probably worth leaving it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's better to have in there than not.
I guess the one thing I just bear in mind is that this is the building room's charter. It's not the building room steering committee's charter.
No,
you are the steering committee
right.
that's steering the building room.
That's right.
So anybody in the community that says, "Hey, I've got this idea for a project and it's in the building space,"
That's an excellent point. Got my steering committee blinders on. Okay. So we'll leave that in there. Communicating with the industry about existing and planned development work, which is what we're doing in our next session at 11 o'clock tomorrow. I don't know what room, but is it in here? Oh, yeah. Oh, I suppose we're always in here. Helping to facilitate BSI management's coordination and collaboration with other user and technical rooms to support the development of their sector-specific standards. So I think, this is more doing projects across multiple rooms, which we've started doing a lot more, and we're starting to do with the sessions as well. So things like FM obviously pertain to more than just the building room. So I think that one's pretty solid. Anybody, any input or thoughts? No? Okay. And then enabling data exchange based on open standards for the planning, realization, maintenance, and demolition of buildings.
Can you use the microphone? Thanks.
This is the life cycle disappear.
Yes.
We can say please.
So instead
Okay.
of planning, realization, maintenance, just
Life
the
cycle.
whole life cycle.
Life cycle.
Yeah. Yeah, that's enough. Yeah.
So enabling data exchange based on the open standards for the life cycle of buildings. Throughout the life cycle of buildings. All right, let's see. Oh yeah, that's good.
Iterating back to this intelligent data versus relevant data. Intelligent is tricky, data intelligent, right? But relevant, I would say, yes, of course it's relevant, otherwise we don't rule it. Isn't it structured data that we ask? If it's just data and you said that it's data, didn't you mean structured data? That we're
Yeah.
parametrics, right? So the very structured. Isn't that the word that we are?
I like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, but that's, yeah. So instead of relevant, structured. Yeah. Open, reverse,
Well, it could be relevant structured data.
now,
Is that
like
too much?
What Michel said is correct. If it's not relevant, we don't.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's right. As opposed to the irrelevant data.
It's always relevant. Otherwise, we won't model it.
That's wow. I don't know about that. Okay.
Something missing from the scope? No. Something missing from the scope? No. Okay. Continue.
Structuring your total playing field. You talk about the life cycle of the asset. Do we also talk about the supply chains that are relevant in all these phases? Or is it the building as a whole, or the building also decomposed into parts, components, the products, etc.? Then you run into other rooms, I guess, but do you have to say anything about the supply chain of the contractor, the client, etc.? That's orthogonal to the life cycle, you could say, right? Supply chain, value chain. I don't know, but you have to say something about it, or leave it to this.
Is it relevant to mention it here then? Do you think?
Well, it has to do with the decomposition of the building. How deep do you go?
Mhm.
It's all in your scope. Building level, or is it, well, in the IFC terms, you can go quite deep, of course. And you go also in the components. Do you have to say something about the level of detail? Or is it already implicit for the IFC scheme? That is the kind of data that you're after for. I'm not sure, but it's just IFC scope. Yes. If you talk about putting that in a site, or you're talking about our around it, and we probably have to talk about in the rest of the document and later as a context, for instance, something like that, but not as the objective.
Yeah. So we trying to.
Here we are talking about scope on object very focused on building.
Okay.
As an asset. It's my vision. But you're right, okay. We need to mention all
Version 6, did you say?
Yeah.
So, I'm talking with Jan Anderson, listening to you guys, and thinking. So, it was what we need is another bullet point that talks about the overlap and cooperation with other rooms where. Well, but specific to, I mean, a lot of what you're talking about is like on the FM side of things, right? Asset management. So do we need a separate bullet point in there, or do we think it's covered with the other language? Okay. Okay. But there's nothing that we need to add to that, is what I'm saying, that sentence, to make it more of what you want. Okay. Okay. Okay.
The other rooms.
Okay.
Yeah. 25 pages.
It's not 25 pages. It's 9 pages.
No,
It's 9
there's some
pages.
graphics in it.
And I bet it could be 7 pages. So, okay. So then the next section is context and approach. And the one comment that we have is that we should add a section on opportunities and overlaps with other rooms, which we have as a bullet point in the other one. So maybe we just want to ignore that because, you know, as it says here, BSI already has targeted domains such as building, infrastructure, asset management, and regulation that are creating and deploying open digital standards. And these domains are called rooms. The activity of the building room is not limited within these domains. It focuses on developing, facilitating, and applying various open BIM standards to buildings and construction and life cycle. Yeah.
Maybe we can leave it out because we already mentioned that in the scope.
Yeah, maybe it's, I mean, we can't, I don't think we take out the whole thing, but I think we limit that sentence. Maybe we don't need the second paragraph.
No, that's what I mean.
Yeah. You just strike the whole second paragraph. Okay.
Yeah.
So for scope and deliverables, we're just linking to the roadmap, which is a whole separate document that we were going to talk about. But I think that the charter probably has more questions around it than the roadmap does. So we're just going to kind of keep going with the charter here. So section 4 is organizational structure and participation. The one comment that we have is that we assume this could be or should refer to the BSI process addendum 1 like the railway room does. I don't know what addendum 1 is to you.
I think in the BSI process, addendum 1, we have the structure of the room steering committees and how they work,
Okay.
the process. So yes, we probably don't need to state it.
So to fulfill the previously described mission, the building room has outlined the following main components of the room's organizational structure. So you're saying we don't need that? Building room, open forum for interested parties, building room steering committee, building room elected representatives, and secretariat, part-time management support. That's you, right?
Yeah, that's me. As Richard know, yeah. And others from time to time.
Is that the right word, secretariat?
No, I don't think so.
I know it was a racehorse.
We call ourselves the BSI Management Office, don't we? So I'll
Okay.
change it to, yeah.
Maybe for the second bullet, it just says building room steering committee comprised of elected representatives. I don't know. It seems like it wants to be two separate things, but everybody who's on the steering committee is elected. So
Yeah.
building room steering committee of, yeah, I think it probably is now. All right. Should we skip to section 5?
A lot of the detail we could take out, all this about how big the committee is, that's all in the BSI process.
Yeah, and we could just reference the overall process with a link maybe. Okay. Appointments, assume that this could be or should refer to the BSI process addendum. Oh, that's the same one. Is that the same comment? It really is. KIB 10, KIB 11. Okay. Paragraph, well, the appointments section describes the various organizational components that make up the building room. This paragraph will outline the regulations surrounding appointments. This is all part of the standard process too, right?
Yeah, it's all in the BSI process.
So I mean, we've got like 10 bullet points here that we probably could just.
Yeah, you can leave it out.
I mean, it's all in there. This is just the kind of like mechanics of the building room, right? Like building room steering committee members are elected to a term of 4 years and may stand for re-election in order to maintain continuity, blah, blah, blah. So all that stuff is all elsewhere. So yeah, refer to the BSI process. Here we go.
6 is nice. I think that people can contribute to 6.
How come I don't see? Oh, there. Sorry. Yeah, I'm confused between scrolling up and then I got to go right to get a new page. So I don't know. Good on time. Started at 1:30, right? Okay. All right. Dependencies and liaisons. The building room sets out to collaborate with all rooms within BSI. In addition to collaborations, the following organizations are potential liaisons. And then I don't even know what SEN BTWG 215 is. Do you?
Oh, but maybe someone knows, and we already mentioned SEN TC 442, for instance, and ISO TC 59, and SC 13, but I think you can contribute here. Well, do you think that's enough if we include SEN TC 442, ISO TC 59? Yeah? Michelle, do you have input here? Yeah? Leave it generic. Okay. Yeah? So keep it generic. Okay. Yeah, no, okay. And is the SEN work group 215, is that a good one to mention it here?
That still exists. It was probably put in 3 or 4 years ago. I don't think it's still existing.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Yeah? No.
So that we need a generic kind of language about
SEN, ISO. That's okay.
collaborations.
So we don't mention the following organizations as potential liaisons. Okay. It's limited. Yeah. Okay. Can't we move then paragraph 6 into our scope, that we extend our scope with one bullet, that we say that we that we set up collaboration with other organizations, instead of now we are only mentioning the rooms, so that we say external organizations as well. Then we can skip this section from this charter.
Is the room able to set up collaboration with other organizations, or are we able to propose them to the building SMART steering committee?
I think we can.
Yeah. I don't know why we couldn't.
No. What will be the objective? Or conflict of interest, or?
No, but it could be just a more high level. If you have a liaison with some other group, or you could
Yeah.
decide
Okay, that's what. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's not up to the building room. It's a.
But if someone brought it at the building room level, we could move it up to to building smart.
Yeah.
The language to
Yeah, and we're talking about putting a bullet in that same section, referencing this.
Oh, put it on board.
Yep, it's got it.
Working with and contributing to other standards setting organizations. Other standard setting organizations.
Yeah, no, that's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do we like that last sentence there? I can't. It says working with and contributing to other standard setting organizations, e.g. ISO, SEN, etc.
Is that okay? Okay.
At OGC maybe,
OGC.
I don't know.
Is that to the building room? Not at all. Okay.
So no EG.
And also, I think that as we were talking here, is this specific?
Huh?
Is first, just to rewind, I wasn't specified, and at the same time, I wonder if the scope of the building room is to be open to other organizations, or if it's natural to the building room in their relations to bring upon the building room things that are interesting for the building room.
Yeah, I agree.
If you want to maintain the sentence, I wouldn't specify, because maybe that something new comes upon and it's not there.
But it's examples that give an idea.
But this is narrowing, I think, but it's.
I mean, just as an example, infrastructure room, some of the infrastructure room steering committee members do sit on and contribute to ISO and SEN standards setting working groups. I don't know whether we do in the building room, to be honest, but there's nothing to stop us doing that. There's nothing to stop anybody from any room doing it, because it's, you know, it just depends what your expertise is and where you work, if you like.
Well, I mean, we're not, I guess I can see both sides of it. It's really just, here's some examples, but I mean, that's what EG is, so. Leave them out or leave them in?
The argument to leave the whole sentence out is that, you know, if it's individuals in the product group to do other stuff, then that's got nothing to do with the charter of the room, right? You know, if I as an individual sit on an ISO committee,
True.
that's fine.
Yeah.
Is the building room going to have formal representation as the BSI building room in other standard bodies? And if not, I would strike it from the charter.
I think what we're saying is they could, and in some rooms they do, so we should probably leave it. All right, then we'll leave it as is.
Oh, we got a remark from
Shelley Vard, yeah.
He says that workgroup 215 was the forerunner of TC 442, so yeah, it doesn't exist anymore.
Hi, Jalipar.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay.
Now you can go to your.
So 5, 6, 7, and we were just going to reference the BSI process, right? I mean, we've got a graphic in here.
Yeah.
On page 6 of the whole process. And again, you know, there's no sense doing anything more than a link when we can just reference other people back. I think the one downside to a link is that I don't know. I'd have to see how it works. When you take someone away from a document, you need to give them a way back, other than the back button, but maybe not. That's just UX stuff. It doesn't really pertain to us.
As long as we keep it updated, then it's okay to put it in.
You mean the link to where it's linked to?
No, I think it's good to have. I think it's good to have a diagram in, as long as it's updated and not
So that diagram is definitely
outdated.
Yeah, that's my point. I mean,
the updated diagram is in the BSI process.
Yes.
I think we should have a link. I mean, we've done that in other places. We should be consistent.
Mm.
So that means we'll be taking out all this stuff that's
Yeah, but then it will be a very thin document. Well, it's okay.
But you know, I don't know the charter mission.
Less is more. Okay.
I totally 100% agree.
Okay. So this one. So page 7 is describing the figure, so that can be removed as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
So-
so have to be longer. We can double space it.
It's okay.
What? Okay. same as in the roadmap do we need in both places? So section 8 is communication. Building room will communicate topics, discussions, and solutions using, and then we have some bulleted points, its own webpage on buildingsmart.org. And there's a link there to the building room. Presentations at BSI summits, BSI news feeds and media channels, contact persons in other rooms, building room steering committee meetings. What are you crossing out? Oh, you're crossing out that. And I think the comment that we have here is that this is the same as the stuff that we have in the roadmap. So should we just link to our own roadmap or link to hear from the roadmap? I actually think that it belongs more in the mission, charter than in the roadmap. So maybe we should be linking to hear from the roadmap.
Again, speaking something fairly new to BSI, I think what's really valuable having what we need in the charter is, if I read the charter, do I then know where to look to find out and get up to speed on what's happening? So it doesn't necessarily be an exhaustive list of where we, like, well, all the channels we use to promote things, but all the minutes of meetings, all the decisions being made, all the proposals being made, where are they published? I think that should be in the charter.
Yeah, I agree, and maybe to your point, instead of just having bulleted lines, because I think if we're referencing another document, the roadmap should be referencing the charter for things, not the other way around. And then we probably need to add some links to these bulleted points to places where we actually keep our stuff, minutes, steering committee minutes, presentations at the summit. So I think if I'm right, it sounds like you're asking that we should have links to where these pieces are in the bullet points themselves. So we can add links to every one of these. We've got the link to the first one. A link to the presentations and summits is sort of easy hard because there's a lot of summits. So we just need to figure out the right place to link to, like a kind of a portal top level page for summits. I don't know if there is one.
Is there any job?
There is in books. There's an events folder.
Is everybody?
And it's by room, right?
There's all the summits in there. It's by summit. Okay. So there's one for right.
Yeah, so it doesn't drill down.
Not everyone may have access to it.
No,
Yeah. So the problem is, if it's not set up by room, if it's set up by summit, then we're asking someone to drill down, or we have to provide more links in our document directly to our relevant stuff.
One question is, does somebody have the time to put the links on the website post summit once that comes out and say, okay, for the Roef summit, we have the building links. And if we don't have it in the charter, but the website has it there.
Right. Yeah, I think that's where the link would go to a top level thing, and then people are just going to have to drill down a little bit.
Yeah, okay. Perfect.
And then contacts, that's an easy, contact persons in other rooms, building room participant talks and solutions using
That's
contact
on the
persons
website
in other
as
rooms.
well.
Well, I don't think that needs any links. I think that's more of a statement, but maybe I'm wrong. Contacting persons in other rooms. Building room will communicate topics, discussions, and solutions using contacts in other rooms. I mean, that's usually what we do when we're, coming up on a summit. We're reaching out to people in other rooms to try to find commonality, more now so than at any point kind of in the past. Trying to do many more combined sessions with multiple rooms because there is so much overlap. So
The charter constrained the group, right? So it might be helpful to break into two sections. One is the group commits to put all topics of discussion and group thoughts. And then secondly, we will also communicate these and talk to people about it. One of the points of transparency is that certain decisions being made or things being proposed to the group get spoken about with the other rooms, and there's no that, and if you're not that other person in the room, you know what's going on.
I don't think I followed that. I'm sorry.
Because what you could do, you could communicate. Is it communicating all of those or some of those?
Oh, okay.
You could communicate how the
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
Do you have an idea about it, John?
Well, we do, maybe the thing that's wrong is to say that there are contact persons in the other rooms.
Yeah, I mean, it is very ad hoc.
It's kind of, yeah, it's ad hoc. The rooms don't generally they have a communication person, often the person responsible for communications from that room.
Yeah.
But it's not the person who's communicated to.
You know, when we talk a lot is like when we had our event in London with the room leadership, right? I mean, that's where a lot of that particular hallway conversation, I think you said, happens, because we all get in a room, and we've done 2 now. And I think are we on a 2-year schedule for that? Like
Yeah.
every 2 years? But I mean, you know, there's lots of conversations that go on via email and other places. They're just not documented well.
Maybe it should be other room steering committees or other rooms steering committees. If there's a communication going on, you might communicate, like with the asset operations handover projects, where you communicate into the infrastructure room because they've got an interest in that project, just like building them.
So maybe we just say contact with other rooms. I mean, is that too simple?
So one question, is that intended to be?
It is, no.
Formal, like we're communicating certain things, that's the way it's communicated, or we communicate them to the webpage, put those things there, and then we also go and sort of do awareness with the other rooms and say, oh, by the way, we have this here, let me tell you about it. And like there's an additional, I guess, you know, it's someone who's not in Europe.
I mean, maybe we should be doing that. And we don't currently have like well, I don't know. You know, we have an executive call with all the room leads on it, but I can never go because it conflicts with my paying job. And so I don't get to be on that executive call, but that's one of the things that goes on there. So maybe we reference that somehow, the executive call, John. Yeah. Contact with other rooms and room leadership.
Probably good enough for now, just formalize what current
Yeah.
happens.
Okay.
BSI leadership says, okay, no, we need to communicate differently, they'll pass that down.
Yeah, and actually I guess the format and content of the executive committee is kind of changing now, because we have new leadership with Clive, and so he's got ideas about how that'll work. So I think there's some fluidity to what we're doing in terms of communication. And I know that, that we talked about this specifically when we were in London, that, was very interested in a lot more crosstalk between the rooms, which is something that I think is really important, because I feel like, you don't want to see, IDS is a good example, right? I mean, there was an IDS session over there. We're doing an IDS session tomorrow. Well, sort of IDS, but we want to make sure that when we have these opportunities that we aren't reinventing the wheel in 2 places, and that we bring those things together and present like a unified idea and message to the membership, the people that are attending these things. So we want to try to, keep those communication lines and make them more robust, I think, is what Clive wants to do. So, anything to add? No?
I think what it says there is contact with other rooms.
Okay.
Leadership. So,
Anything that's not on the list that you think should be?
yeah, project dashboards using Monday.com.
We do that.
Yeah. And even though there's a link, there's probably not. I don't know. Can anybody get to Monday.com? I don't think so.
You can view it if I put a link in there that allows viewing, which I will. Then you can view it.
And that's enough. So you can see the status of the project. And I think that's enough.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good one, Joe.
And this is then the meetings is the list below is basically the stuff that we were talking about. So we have monthly steering committee meetings. We have monthly project steering committee meetings. The industry forum.
It says when required, but it's monthly.
Yeah, these are monthly, but the quarterly meeting is the. Is that the same thing as the executive meeting, John?
No.
Industry forum is a relatively new thing, which some rooms are doing and some are not at the moment. And
We're not. 'Cause
we
I
know,
don't- I
yeah,
haven't been with industry.
building are not, infrastructure are not, airport are, regulatory are. So I would say, let's say twice a year,
Okay.
a steering committee meeting is supposed to be extended out to the whole of the BSI community. And
Oh.
maybe a topic is chosen, and
Okay.
there's an hour's general update and discussion with the whole community. You know, so it's steering committee talking to the wider BSI community that's interested in building room
So like this.
topics like this.
Okay, that would be,
In fact,
that would be cool.
if we'd have thought about it before this second, we could have called this an industry forum.
I know, right? Dang.
So this is the first industry forum.
I think this should be. Do you think this should be the first industry forum?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, look for that in 6 months from us.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Okay. Do we want to add to the meeting list there, the executive call, or no?
No, because that's not specific to the building room.
But yeah, we could do, but yeah, it's up to you.
Okay, I mean, I don't know. I could, I'm fine either way. Leave it in, take it out.
And just going back to the project meetings, for the sake of not having to update the chart, you just want to say, as agreed by project leadership. Some projects might meet monthly, like currently, those are meeting monthly project. Is it project meeting?
Yeah.
What project is currently active?
What do we have currently active? FM handover and
Fire safety.
fire safety.
Because each project could, in theory,
Yeah.
pick a frequency.
But usually, yeah, yes, in theory, but I think in practice, you know, there are people that are working on the projects. You know, there are projects that we're not going to get updates for because they're just on hold. So if nothing happens from month to month, we don't talk about them. So, you know, when we have a project meeting, we're basically looking at the active stuff or anything that we're looking at, you know, approving or
Okay, so
signing
that
it.
doesn't mean meetings of the project team.
No. It's a monthly project steering meeting. So it's a steering committee meeting where we go through all the projects, as opposed to a project meeting. We might get there's a steering committee meeting, right? And that's its own thing. And we don't talk about really projects per se. And then there are the project meetings that include the steering committee and project managers for those projects and any other relevant people on them, giving updates to those projects. All the projects in one meeting. So it's, yeah, and usually in the room we have a, I don't know what we called them. What do we call Ricardo? I mean, we had someone who was managing that specific meeting and it was always on that meeting. Right now I just go to the first two, but if we, you know, we will have some elections. Benjamin, sorry, yeah, Benji. Yeah, outside of the steering committee. So they have their own schedule. Yeah, it's maybe bad name for it, but it's project steering committee meetings.
If you are
Project
interested,
meetings.
I have a list of the projects going on my
Monday.
on Monday. I can't share it, but I can't share it on the screen. That's what I mean.
Can't or won't? No, I'm just kidding.
I'm not allowed.
I know. All right. And then the last section that we have about this charter is just the charters for the building rooms been created according to the BSI process. Well, that's just boilerplate, end of document. I mean, there's nothing really to change there. Statement to be updated in line with revision to the BSI process. What does that mean? Of the provisions, and I mean, we kind of say that. In the event of a conflict between this document or the provisions of any other charter, what is that? Any other charter, and the BSI process. The BSA process shall take precedence.
Well, I guess we put that in when we had a load of BSI process information actually listed in this charter.
Oh, okay.
We've largely removed that
We
now.
removed it,
Yeah.
So
But I
we-
mean, you could still leave it in there as a statement at the end, but maybe you could just say in the event of a conflict between this document or any other, the BSA process shall take precedence.
Yeah, if we want to say it, yeah, we can. I'm easy. We either leave it in or we take it out. Yeah.
We can take it out too.
Yeah.
It always feels safer to leave it in.
Yeah.
A little CYA statement at the end. just
Yeah. Okay.
Seems okay. Okay. That might be it.
So
Should we
now,
go to the- should we go into the roadmap? Does anybody have anything else that they feel strongly that we should
No.
talk about and related to the charter?
thank you very much. It's really the last time that we are dealing with this now. So
Well, I think, I mean, it's not closed for conversation forever. I think if there are, we
finally we have it finalized now.
well, we have the forum. It's finalized. I think we put it up there, and if someone comes to us and says, "Oh, I read through this and it didn't really make sense to me," we can look at it. But I don't want to. I mean, I don't think we want to spend another 90 minutes on a session at a summit talking about improvements to the roadmap or the charter. I'd rather have a session where we could talk about implementation and working of the tools.
But maybe we can update it every industry forum. We can have a 10 minutes update.
There you go. That's when we do it.
That's
Bingo.
okay.
You're like a genius. You're a Dutch genius. Dutch genius. All right.
Okay, so let's go through the roadmap. John, is it possible?
Yeah. Roadmap.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
4 pages. Less is more.
How many pages is the charter now?
It's a lot less than it was. Maybe 4 or 5.
4 or 5,
I think you only
yeah.
printed out 4.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. The,
Oh,
the talk says 14, but there's only 4 pages.
it's not all there. What in the roadmap?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay.
Maybe you ran out of paper.
Oh, well, we can read it
It's
from the
not a big
screen.
deal.
No, we can read it from the screen as
I
well.
can get it too. I got a link here.
No.
Is that just the charter?
We can read it from the screen.
Yeah. I'm just going to the roadmap.
Oh, okay, cool.
Roadmap and work. Hey, we not updated this in 2 years?
We updated it, July 21, nearly 2 years ago.
August 21.
August 21.
Sorry about it. Oh, well. All right. I'm just going to run through this. We're coming up on time. What?
Up the other 50
pages. All right. It's not 50. What?
No, the.
Oh, okay.
I can make notes.
All right. Well, want to flip it over so we can see what there is. Been through this 100 times.
Yeah.
So we have an introduction to OpenBIM, and I think there's a fair number of things in the roadmap that, much like the mission, I keep wanting to call it a mission statement because we used to, but the charter, there are plenty of things in the charter or in the roadmap that could reference other things in the larger BSI process or in the charter that don't need to be here. The introduction is long.
Because it's a specific building room roadmap.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is my philosophy on the roadmaps that I've made apparent to other people is that they should mostly be the same between all the different rooms, with some areas where they're different because airports are different than, baggage handling systems or whatever. Some things are different than other things. Railways are different than buildings. Let's leave it at that. But most of the stuff should be the same. The missions, the kind of goals for the rooms should be somewhat similar, and at least the graphics should be the same and other things. But everybody's roadmap is like a little different. And we stole ours from the airport room a long time ago, like when I started in this. So, it's based on that. And I think I mentioned Clive earlier. I think there's some desire to kind of do that and make these things more the same. But I think referencing other documents so that we don't have all this stuff in a roadmap. No one wants to read 14 pages if they don't have to, if the same information is elsewhere and you just read it. So I think we should reference other things where we can, or reference our documents. So if we take out the whole introduction to Open BIM, and replace it with, a short paragraph that says, what Open BIM is, and for more information, you can read it on the BSI website link here, right? No.
Open BIM standards being important to buildings. I think the reason why
Yeah.
there's a statement about
Yes.
Open BIM is because we thought we should describe it before we got to this. But
I read this document online, and I think it's really well written.
yeah,
And I was pleased that I had some introduction.
Oh.
And I didn't need to all over and read to different pages.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's kind of an overall, and it's easily read through without, as I was saying, to open this new page and this new page and this new page. We have like all the things composed in one
Makes sense.
PDF document.
Okay.
And it was
Moreover, I would say it's the same because it's important to have in the same page the highlight of several sentences that make the roadmap. The introduction, you have the 4 points. You talk about regulation. You talk about software effectiveness.
Yeah, yeah.
You talk about open BIM. We have all the words in one page.
So the highlighting is good. So you mean the highlighting here done is good? Okay, okay. Okay, yeah. That's good one. Yeah, okay.
And also, this document, the one who reads it, it wasn't interested in reading it. Okay? So if he wants to go deeper.
Okay,
This is deep information.
okay.
You basically want us to keep
Yeah.
the format.
Keep it as it. Yeah.
We should go work in other things.
And you feel this way about the whole document, not just this section, right? You're just saying
All of them.
you read through it and you thought it was apropos. Okay.
Thank you.
Does anybody disagree?
So we can end in time.
Has anybody read the roadmap and thought this is awful? I mean,
Oh, your gentleman behind you is.
no, go ahead.
No. No, please.
When I look at the
Oh.
roadmap, and I look at the document, because I want to know what the building will be doing in
Yeah.
the next 18 months. So the definition of open BIM is like, okay, scroll, what's the working on? That's my expectation. When you said, let's look at the roadmap, and I saw this, where are the upcoming projects?
I 100% agree. I don't know what to call it besides a roadmap, but I would agree that, a roadmap tells you, what's kind of, and the graphics that we've had in the past have done that. They've gone out like, a few years, and, we show arrows that go out to here. We're going to be doing this and stuff. But I think if we're honest, we don't know what we're going to be doing in 18 months or 2 years. I mean, it's just not, the projects, are very fluid in terms of, oh, this one has money now and it's back on the front burner and it's going, and this one's gone on hold because someone said they're not going to implement that, particular part of the schema in their software or whatever it is. So in a traditional roadmap sense, I think it's hard to say what we're going to be doing out there. It's more nebulous, like, oh, we think we'll be doing this or that.
So I took this training course a few months ago with the guy who used to be the CTO of Chief Product Officer at Netflix. And so he was saying that the hotness in roadmaps right now is the now, next, considering.
Yeah.
So you can actually still have that format of projection, but it's not a project plan.
Right.
These are the active projects. We are planning to initiate these projects. We are thinking about these things, right? Because then you got like that, and whether it's use cases, and I think that's enough, right? We don't need to. It can be a roadmap without having dates.
Yeah. And I,
Just a sense of what's coming up, what's on the scope.
yeah, and for a long time, the things that were on our roadmap were making a roadmap and making a charter, which we've been working on for years. And now we're hopefully putting this stuff to rest. And, a lot of it is just going to be project-based stuff, meeting-based stuff, just the regular rhythm of, 2 summits a year. What's coming up? We know we've got a standard summit in Rome, and then we have an awards summit in Oslo, and then we have another one in the spring, and then we have a leadership meeting, and we kind of know where the things that affect us are happening for those next 18 months, 2 years. But project-wise, yeah, you kind of have to be a little more.
But just to add to what David's
Obsequious.
saying, sorry, David, so David, Rob, Jan Anders, the whole building room steering committee, you did do a lot of work on this a couple of years ago, which is why there's an August 21 version of this, which is the latest, and it was published. So there was an old roadmap that went back to something like 2018, which was out of date. You spent a good few meetings and lots of time updating it, and this document, reads fairly coherently, because you did all that work. And this is a list of the current projects and the upcoming projects as of 2021. It needs to be updated for today, 2023. But it's a good document. It's been published. This was the second time it was published, 2018, 2021. And an update now would be the 2023 version.
Yeah,
But
this update should be linked to the industry forum.
Yeah, we could.
So that we revise it.
Yeah, we could certainly bring the industry forum into it, Jolanda. Yeah.
And then the next page is interesting as well.
Yeah, this is not that one, but the next.
The next one.
Next one, yeah.
The graphic.
Yeah. Sorry.
That's the one. Ines, who's not on the steering committee anymore because she's got a new job. We really wanted to have a one-page kind of graphic roadmap, and I think we've seen these other places. And to your point, I don't remember the exact word you used, but this one's got like low-hanging fruit. Yeah, now next considering. That's long-hanging fruits, midterm objectives, long-term ambitions. But I mean, we could use the other words too. I mean, we can modify this, but I thought it was nice to have this as part of the roadmap as a one-page thing. Like I could just look at it and get a feeling for what's going on in the building room at a macro scale right now into the short-term future, and short-term to me is like 18 months to a couple of years. So I really like the idea of having this so that it could be published somewhere and someone could look at it. And if they want to dive deeper and read the whole roadmap to get more detail and get more granular on this, that's fine. Well, that printed bad. But I don't know. I mean, do we like the idea of having this in there, or is it a separate thing that, roadmap light?
But I thought you had
Yeah.
a comment as well, right?
Just to, I think it's already said, in fact, make a relation which is this and the list of the project.
Yeah. So you will have the updated, in the charter, we will have the updated Monday board. And there you can see, I can show it to you if you want. Yeah, but this is good as well, because we don't have defined all the possible, the long-term ambitions. So I think it's good to have them written somewhere. Yeah. There's an infographic as well on the next page, I guess. And
It doesn't say airport room anymore.
no, but we borrowed it, or we stole it from the airport room. So we need to update it as well. So
What's the quote? Like good
better,
good writers. I don't know, something like that.
beter goed gejat dan zelf. Okay,
Great
it
writers
is Dutch.
steal.
Yeah, that's,
That's what it is.
so we need to update that as well. Good architects know how to copy. That was the comment. Yeah. Well, is there anybody who would like to say have some final remarks, or Michel? There's a microphone here in the first table. An IDS, yeah. We should put that into another light now. Yeah.
I think some of what's on here, roadmap on the page.
Yeah, we
probably could be updated. Should be updated.
we should update it. Yeah. I think that's a topic for the next steering committee session. Yeah. You want to conclude? Right? What?
Yeah, I mean, I think if there's nothing else, go ahead.
I don't know if it's the next session, but I would like to know what projects are ongoing.
Yeah.
In October,
Yeah, BR2, building room session 2 tomorrow here at 11 o'clock. I won't, but the PMs for the ongoing, the active projects will be talking about their projects. So, yeah. And then later tomorrow, 3:30, we're talking about IDS validation and checking. We've got a real world example that Mirbek's going to do, and I'm going to talk about this graphic thing that I've been working on since London. So, but other than that, I thought this was really productive. We haven't had a good session like this talking about things that are relevant to those interested in the building room. So, thank you for all the comments and commentary. Was there anything online that we needed to address?
No.
Okay.
Nothing.
Cool.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just going to bring things to an end. Thank you, Dave. Thank
Thanks,
you, Rob.
John.
Thank you, Jan Anders. Thanks to everyone in the room who's contributed. That was an excellent session. We will retrospectively call it our first industry forum, I think. That's yeah. And we'll do another one when we've updated the roadmap on the page elements from the roadmap. But thanks for helping us knock those documents into shape, particularly the charter. If you're online, thanks for attending. It's a break at the summit for the next 30 minutes. Coffee's available back near the entrance. And we'll be picking things up again in this room with the infrastructure room at 3:30. Other rooms are also available at 3:30. Thank you.
Thank you.